He comes to meet that too. Barnes, Waddle. Butcher stayed forward. Barnes again. Waddle again. It's a poor kick by the keeper. This is Stevens. And that's all. That's equally poor. Halfway through the second half. And England will need to deliver the ball better than that if this second goal is going to arrive. Webb. Maticic staying close again to Beardsley. Prusic equally close to Robson. Pole still very orderly, very athletic offside against Furtok. And we certainly can't relax against them, can we?
England at the moment certainly just lost that fluidness that they had going forward. And I think really is the midfield area where Poland are sort of just ganged up that little bit, and England's back four really only just picking one up at the time. If the two fullbacks, Gary Stevens and Stuart Pearce, could really move in and pick up the wide people, it would help Brian Robson and Neil Webb, who seem sort of undermanned at the moment.
This is Waddle. Lineker, that's a good touch. Stevens now, can he get a quality cross in? He can. Barnes! Yes! That's the goal we wanted. And it's the goal that might victory here. The Poles down and deflated, and England celebrate. Gary Stevens here made up for any earlier crosses that didn't go his way. It was a beautiful ball, and Barnes at the far post to finish it off. 2-0 to England, and you can feel the sense of relief and release all the way around the stadium. The Poles will make their second substitution now. Chris Waddle into Gary Lineker. What a glorious build-up this was. Stevens brought into play. Superb cross, great finish. Taracevic is on, number 14, and Jan Urban has gone off. Lineker. Now, can we go one better and repeat the score in Monterrey? Lineker's coming in again. Trevor.
Well, as you say, a sense of relief around the ground, and Gary Stevens is such an athletic person that he could make those surging runs into that situation all afternoon. It's just the quality of his crosses, and when he gets the ideal cross in, the second goal came. And John Barnes, you mentioned him, he made it look very easy on his left foot. It was a side foot, but it was at a tight angle, and I can assure you it was a lot harder than it appeared, but a very important second goal.
We also need to make the point, Trevor, that England have kept a clean sheet again up to now, which can prove significant if we're talking about qualifying in second place as compared to teams finishing second in other groups. It's all a bit complicated. Points come into play first, but it's in our interests to keep our record of not having conceded a goal in the World Cup so far. Here's Taracevic. Prusic. All good effort. I would say he's played as well as anybody, the captain for Poland, Trevor. But he won't beat Peter Shilton like that, will he?
Well, there's a long way out. And, of course, he did start off at right back, didn't he, Prusic? But here he is in his more familiar midfield role. Natural left footer. And they're always a bit too high, and Peter Shilton not really troubled, and I'm sure now with 2-0 enjoying his 108th cap that little bit more.
Lineker, what a game he's had. And now Rocastle. Well, he should be nice and fresh. This is Webb. Barnes. Rocastle. And still took two to stop him. And here's Lineker, a terrible back pass. Rocastle. Smith, no. Webb. 3. And Poland commits suicide in defence. And England's World Cup hopes very much alive now. Sir Alf Ramsey applauds the goal. And Neil Webb, as the goalkeeper holds his head in dismay, makes it 3-0 to England. An easy goal for Webb, but a dreadful mistake here by Wojcicki, the number 3. He presented that to Gary Lineker. Rocastle across the goal. Smith couldn't get it, but Neil Webb certainly could. 7 minutes from the end, and England now home and dry, and the score, fittingly, is as it was in Mexico. England 3, Poland 0. That was Neil Webb's 3rd goal for his country, and he won't score an easier one, but full marks to him as a midfield player for being up there in the box, Trevor, so late in the game.
And of course the 3rd goal could prove very, very vital as the group unfolds with Sweden, because they only beat Poland 2-1, and whoever finishes top, you know, it could be on goal difference, and that September the 6th game over in Sweden looms larger and larger as a very significant match.
Here's Taracevic. Maticic. So, still Poland attack. That is Furtok. Oh, it's a good turn by Furtok, and it needed Des Walker again. The number of timely clearances he's made may not be reflected by the score in the match, but Peter Shilton will be grateful because Furtok has never stopped nagging away there. It's a corner to Poland. Wojcicki has gone forward to try and make amends for his awful mistake. Here's Wdowczyk. Well, Furtok turning well enough. Des Walker, I think, held him off a bit there for a moment, but certainly got the clearance in. Well, in discussing the individual performances here today, I'm sure that as Barnes turns on the ball now, Gary Lineker will be well mentioned by just about everybody. He's let that one run to Webb. Good effort. Well, he's also played a major part, Neil Webb. If you're looking for successes, this is Bashika, and now it's Kosecki taking the ball out there. If we're looking for successes, Trevor Brooking, I would have thought Gary Lineker and Des Walker would have caught your eye today.
Those two, as much as anyone, I think, have been very influential. Here we just see Neil Webb, who also has had an excellent game, well held by the keeper Bacco, but Des Walker at the back, his pace, I mean, he's settled in alongside Terry Butcher very well, and his pace has just rescued the side on occasions, and he is definitely settling in alongside Terry. Is really a very formidable partnership. In midfield, I think Neil Webb and Brian Robson have played very well, because with two wide men, Barnes and Waddle, they've had to do that bit of extra work, but they've coped admirably and also supported the attack on occasions. And then up front, Gary Lineker, who's running off the ball apart from his opening goal, and then selfish players also, of course, for the 3rd goal as well, has been outstanding.
And we're into the last 2 minutes now of this World Cup qualifying tie at Wembley. England lead Poland by 3-0. And what a good platform that would be for Bobby Robson to carry into the autumn when we have away matches in Sweden and the return in Poland. Important psychological victory for England, as well as in terms of the group position. Alan Smith. And Wojciech Łazarek knows the game is up now. We're entering the final minute. This is Kosecki. And now Webb, and the break is on. Lineker's in the middle, Rocastle's out on the right. Rocastle's cross, Lineker brought it down well, Smith, Robson's in there too! Oh, unlucky! Well, what a nice finish that would have been for the captain and for England. Brian Robson still with the energy to get in where it hurts, and his namesake would appreciate that. So late in the game, and he was unlucky, Trevor.
Well brought down, Gary Lineker. Alan Smith playing it square, just pops up, hooks it, and it just drifts over the crossbar. But the one occasion really where Brian Robson, probably 3-0, has felt happy just to make those late runs into the penalty box.
So there it is. England end the season on a high note with 2 valuable World Cup points in the qualifying group. Brian Robson leads his team to a most important victory. 3-0, also good for the goal difference, but more important perhaps, the ideal background from which to go to the 2 important away matches in September and October, and nobody played better than Gary Lineker. Back to his sharpest, scored 1, made 1, and with the other wide player, Chris Waddle, justified the team selection of Bobby Robson, as indeed did all departments of the England team. And how nice to see him and the players leaving Wembley to a standing ovation from a crowd of 70,000. That's what we want to see. And the national team, with Peter Shilton on the day he equalled the record, keeping a clean sheet, the national team please the public and give us all a realistic chance of being in Italy for the World Cup finals a year from now.
So England consolidate their position at the top of the group. Only the top team automatically qualifies for the finals, but the runners-up can qualify depending on their record in comparison with other groups. And if it comes to that, England still look well placed. So a good day for England, a good day for Lineker in particular, and of course for Bobby Robson.
I would say this about Gary Lineker's performance actually today. I mean, he's got a vital goal from an acute angle, but I thought it was one of his best games he's ever had for us. With his general contribution, he's leading of the line, knitting in things, sensible play around him, held the ball well, knocked it back, spun, good centre-forward play. He was always lively and threatening, and he's had strikes at goal here. But it really was one of his best footballing displays that he's actually given us and that I've seen from him.
Well, I thought I played quite well. It's a lot easier when the team plays well. We played really well today, and it's a lot easier for the front men when that happens. Of course, it's important the manager says that because he's the one who picks the side. So if he's happy, then I'm delighted.
And your goal, you didn't have a very big angle to aim at, did you?
No, it was very tight. It bounced back at me quick. I never had time to even look up to see if there was anyone in the middle. I saw I had just about enough angle, and it brought back memories a little bit of one I missed against Holland. So fortunately, I've improved from that one.
You took a bit of a battering too.
Yes, well, when I'm playing on the continent, I sort of get used to that. It's man-for-man marking. I think my experience through man-for-man marking has helped me considerably in international football. And the clattering's is part of it. You just have to ignore it and get on with it.
I mean, when you win 3-0 against this type of level, that's a very good result. You can't ask for anything better than that. I would have been eminently satisfied at 2-0. 1 would have done in a way, although it was always going to be tight. 3-0 is very commendable to the players, and I think they've given a good crowd here, which I'm absolutely delighted with. Something to go home with and for, and put a few smiles, I think, on their faces. So we're pleased about that as well.
Certainly. Jimmy, apart from Lineker, who else caught your eye today?
Well, Des Walker, and Trevor Brookings already mentioned his pace, you know, that has been so useful to the England defence in recent matches, and I think obviously he's here to stay and has added another dimension, but he saved what might have been an equaliser just before half-time with that header out. They said he had a bad neck before the game. Well, he certainly brought it to good use there. But you can see here that Shilton might well have been beaten by this header from Prusy. I'm not saying Peter wouldn't have saved it, but he might not. So it was very timely, and it's another player settling in well for us. But Brian Robson, he picks up a sort of badly weighted ball there, really, from Waddle. Didn't quite pick it up, did he? He's determined to get it back. He's absolute granite in the middle of the field there. And once he's got it back, he's looking to use it. A very fluent and solid performance from the captain in the centre of the field. But if you want artistry, How about Chris Waddle? Len Shackleton sitting at home. You just make up your mind, Len, whether you've ever done anything as well as this. They say you have, but finally the nutmeg, and then there's the little chip over the top to complete quite a display from Chris Waddle today. Once the Wembley crowd used to get at him, now they appreciate him. And this pass to Lineker's head, another little touch of skill there, but the weight of his pass is perfectly onto Lineker's head, and Lineker in the end just has to kneel down slightly in order to guide it into Stevens' path. And of course Barnes also on the wing was effective, he defended well, and he was just on the spot in the 6-yard box when he was needed, and took that quite beautifully. As good a game as I've seen him have for England. So 2 wingers worked, a lot of happiness about, and you know, a good solid all-round performance at a time of the season perhaps when people think that players should be tired and going to bed to rest.
What did you make of that foul on Lineker by the goalkeeper today?
Well, it's not a new situation. You know, we all don't like it. The crowd didn't like it at Wembley today. The first thing we can point out, I think, was that the run was perfectly timed. Beardsley collects the ball and delivers a beautiful pass.
He hangs back.
Lineker on the left, hanging back beautifully, and the defender moves up, but in vain. But the way Lineker plays it is perfect. Good for young forwards, this. If you find yourself in this position, make sure you clear the goalkeeper well with the ball, which he does beautifully, but the goalkeeper pulls him down, not going for the ball, and of course, you know, not really fair. There's an injustice there. It's bad for the image of the game, and you know, the wrong team might get through, and the player might get injured. So under all 3 headings, I think referees are entitled to class a foul like that under serious foul play.
You need a courageous ref to send a man off under those circumstances, wouldn't you?
FIFA's interpretation of it at the moment is that the player shouldn't be sent off under those circumstances. I know several of our leading referees, a season or 2 ago, did undertake to do that. They haven't done it, and nobody's made them. But I'm sure the people who watch the game would think that a player cold-bloodedly in that situation pulling down an opponent should leave the field. That
Perhaps
would be
the referee did Bobby Robson and all of us a favour, actually, because if they'd won 3-0 and their goalkeeper had gone off, nobody would have got any sort of credit at all.
We should give Bobby credit tonight and the lads for a first-class display, and as has been said, bringing a smile onto everyone's face. And isn't it pleasant to be able to sit here and say that, Des?
Certainly. Well, the critics have got nothing to criticise, really, I think.
No, us included.
Certainly. And of course, we ought to say too tonight, a splendid day, and congratulations to Crystal Palace, Port Vale and Leyton Orient, who all got their promotion confirmed today in the playoffs. So, 9 games unbeaten for England this season. Great recovery from poor European Championships last season. Final game, a friendly, away to Denmark on Wednesday, and that's in Sports Night on that night. Well, today's been a record-equalling day for Peter Shilton. A top of the form day for Gary Lineker. A splendid day for team morale, even if you didn't get a game. And a quietly satisfactory one, too, for the only man so far to have taken an England football team all the way. Well, that remains the target for Bobby Robson, and it's so far so good. Good night. Irish, from which they've profited.